Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to our latest webcast that we're bringing you from Travel Weekly. And I'm delighted to be joined today by two fabulous women at the helm of Intrepid Travel. So we have Zina Bencheikh, who is the managing director of EMEA, and also Hazel McGuire, who is the general manager for the UK and Ireland. And Zina, we've seen you lots on these webcasts, but I think this could be your first one, Hazel.
It is very excited to be here. Thank you for having me. It's very exciting.
All right, well, we've got lots we want to talk about, but I guess the key thing, let's kick straight into talking about how things are going. We've had the peaks. Lots of people have been very positive, which has just been so fantastic to report on, but we'd love to know what you guys have been seeing. So how's it gone for you?
It's been, and I think, as you say, there's been so many positive stories, which is fantastic. Travel is most definitely back. For us, January was the biggest sales month we've ever had out of the UK, and we continue that trend now. We've had record-breaking months from so many of our key partners, which has been great. I think in terms of specifics, areas that have been selling really well, and we've seen really positive growth and momentum, Vietnam, Morocco, India, Jordan, and Japan as well. I mean, Japan has really flown this year, I have to say. And in terms of the style of product, and I think it has been really driven by our industry partners, is our premium product. We launched that sort of it's our most recent product range, and it really gives our customers that opportunity to have a little bit more of a comfortable accommodation, but still to have those really immersive experiences. And I think it's really opened the market up to people who perhaps didn't want to sort of think about adventure travel before. Maybe they thought that meant, in a tent or staying in lower start accommodation. But I think premium has really allowed us to broaden that out to a new market, and I think our industry partners are really doing great things with it.
So you're saying they've really embraced it and they found you the customers that want this little bit of, I don't know if we call it
Absolutely.
luxury, but it's definitely a step up, isn't it, from your classic range, I guess.
Absolutely. It's sort of four-star accommodation in most cases. And it is a step up from our original, but it really has been driven by our industry partners. And I think that's something we're seeing globally as well, Zina.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a trend we're seeing also from other markets, not just the UK, and it's very well driven by the trade everywhere. So we talked about it, Lucy, when we launched this product a couple of years ago. We did launch it with the idea that we were missing something to be that attractive to our trade partners, and we knew that there were many travel agents out there that loved the brand, loved sustainability ethos, wanted to sell our product, but couldn't find the right product for their customers. So we kind of found the way, I guess, with this product range to attract this audience, and we're really happy with the results we're seeing from the UK specifically so far.
Yeah. And so what will you do off the back of this, Zina? Are you going to, expand the range into other, tell us a little bit, just remind us where it is at the moment, because obviously, as you say, it's your most recent launch. So I guess you started small, most people do, but you've got scope to grow it.
Well, we didn't start small, actually. We started quite big. We had it was a very big project for us. One of those projects that we really decided to drive during the pandemic when we had a bit more time to do these kind of things. And we launched with around 70 products around the world, 70 destinations.
Oh, okay,
and
yeah.
we now have over 100. So we have been scaling very fast this range. We've as soon as we've seen the interest. So Hazel mentioned Japan has been doing really well. Our premium Japan trip is almost sold out for the next few months. So it's hard to find capacity. We're trying to add dates and work with our DMCs very closely to add more capacity in Japan, in Europe, in the Middle East. Egypt and Jordan have been doing really, really well. And that's actually a range of product that really goes from all of it being premium from, I don't know, a couple of £1,000 to up to 5,000 to 6,000. So very wide range, different destinations across 6 continents. So a lot of product there to sell.
Yeah. And Hazel, you mentioned that it obviously broadens what, gets you to a different market, I guess. So is that what you're seeing, that there's new people coming to Intrepid rather than people, trading up?
Definitely. I think what we've seen very much is that this is a new audience. These are new customers. And I think, speaking to our partners, we do get that sense that they are slightly older. So we're looking into that kind of slightly older demographic. And as I say, people who just want that little bit more comfort, but who are really drawn to the sustainability element, as Zina said, and really want to sort of experience the cultures and the destinations in an authentic way, which I think we can do. So it's exciting to see it, that it's a new customer, rather than people sort of making that trade. I dare say there's been a few who've decided, actually, do you know what, I'll take that more comfortable option. But actually, if we look at our sales overall, it is incremental sales that are coming into those premium products.
Okay. And just remind us, I know you say it's then in a higher grade accommodation, but what other aspects of a premium tour, do they get more private guiding, or what else, what other things can they get as part of the premium range?
So in the premium range, we have more inclusions. So they will have more activities which are included within that price. They'll have more meals. And there's also transfers, for example, to and from the starting point of the tour as well. So there's various elements that are layered in there that make it more premium in addition to the accommodation.
And we also guarantee our most experienced tour leaders on the tour, so they need to have a minimum of 5 years experience of leading. So really, the best expert of the destination in a way. And I think that's and also smaller group, obviously. So 12 passengers maximum. So it's probably the smaller type of groups for those type of small group adventures. I mean. Group travel. So we're used to more the 20 customers and more, but these are only for 12 customers, which I think is also very appealing.
And catering to the trend that we've seen is, people coming out of the pandemic and thinking, I do really want to tick things off my list now and do, be more adventurous and see more of the world. So hopefully, I guess with your growth that you're predicting in this, you see this as a continuing trend.
100%. It's definitely something where, as Zina said, we're adding capacity even for this year, and we're starting to look into 2024 and beyond, and what additional product we can add into the range, and what other destinations. I mean, we're already pretty well covered for destinations, but looking at what other tours and what other sort of destinations within country we can visit with this range.
Okay. Just going back to what you said was selling well generally. You mentioned a lot of long haul destinations. Of course, Zina, when we last spoke, we were talking all about your close to home tours, because you introduced all of those because people were a bit nervous. So do you think you're seeing that people have overcome that now and they are absolutely comfortable to travel further afield again?
They are comfortable to travel, that's for sure. I think this is not anymore a block. I mean, the health concerns are not anymore the blocker that we had during the pandemic. I think the bigger blocker now with flight is capacity. Still, there are some destinations that still, the capacity is not back to where they were, and it impacting the flight costs. So obviously, not all long haul destinations are back the same way that they were in 2019. So we're still seeing a mix of people wanting to go short haul because of the budget and the flight cost being more affordable, but also some longer haul destinations coming very strongly. Look, it's been a year that Central America has been trading above 2019 for us, and I think Central America is a long haul destination. So there's some exceptions. Costa Rica has been doing extremely well for us. Peru, before the crisis, was also doing really well, but we're expecting it to come back very strong. We're struggling more in Asia with places like India that are just starting to recover, but India is pretty big for us, and for the UK markets as an adventure destination is a very, very popular and important one, but it had some issues in the last 6 months, especially with the visa situation. That's now solved, but until then it was not recovering properly. It's a mixed bag, really. It's a mixed bag.
Yeah. And I mean, you mentioned there's some people still wanting to budget. Have you seen much impact from the cost of living challenges that, clearly in the news every single day? I mean, is it filtering through to your figures?
It's not. And I think that is largely down to the fact that we have different channel mixes. We're talking to customers in different areas, but also we have that range of styles of trips. So it can be that basics accommodation and then up to that premium level. So we really do have something that is fit for any customer with any budget. We also have our shorter haul destinations, for example, as well, and places like Morocco where we've got really great options with lower price points as well. I mean, I think what's important with the product that we offer is that we can offer really good value for money for customers. So much is included in that price, and it means that it's a very budgetable holiday. There's not so much of that hidden cost or money that you have to sort of put aside to go with it. Everything's really included in that sort of upfront cost. And likewise, working with industry partners where the flights can be packaged in with those tours, it very much becomes something the customer is comfortable with. That's the price, and I know how much I need to budget. Likewise, I mean, I think, let's see, people in the UK, you'll know more than I do. We love our holidays, and I think, you know, most people will find a way to find a small pot of money to have that holiday, even if it means that they don't take a meal out maybe once a month or something like that. So hopefully, you know, we continue to see that.
Yeah, but I guess when we've spoken to other people, they're saying that people are not necessarily compromising on quality of accommodation, let's say, but they might be taking an 11-night holiday rather than a 14. So they are seeing some kind of, you know, some impact, but perhaps still spending, you know, a good amount on it. I just wondered if you were seeing any kind of people being a little bit more cautious, I guess, or...
I mean, to be honest, actually, at the moment, no. We have such a range of different tours. I mean, our kind of our most popular tours are usually between that 7 and 10 day length, and actually that fits quite nicely into perhaps not having to have that 14-day stretch. I think, you know, I think as we go through the year, we'll have to keep a track of it. We need to just see whether, you know, whether that does start to have an impact. But for the moment, I think we're largely being able to move forward, being buoyed by probably still some of that pent up demand into some of those longer haul destinations that we weren't able to service as well last year, particularly for an older consumer as well.
Okay, let's hope.
Fingers crossed.
Exactly. And just so I know, I'm drilling into all your trading at the moment, but are people, you know, what's the sort of the lead time on what they're booking? Are you seeing most bookings coming in for this year, or are you seeing some forward bookings now, people trying to secure their trips for 24?
So vast majority are still booking in this year. We're seeing our booking window hasn't elongated back to 2019. We're still seeing shorter booking lead times than we did in 2019. We're sort of seeing 60 to 90 days being that sort of the majority of customers still looking within that 60 to 90, whereas that would have been more likely 90 to 120 even past that point in 2019. So there definitely has been a change in that. I had expected perhaps to see that start to elongate now, but it hasn't happened. So that might also be something about customers wanting to be sort of, you know, wanting to wait until see how the situation is for them, etc., until a little bit closer to the time. So and may also have something to do with flight prices, just sort of, you know, looking around for the best destinations and seeing what options are available to them.
Okay. And Zina, while we've got you here, I mean, I want to know how the UK is faring against all your other markets, and what particular trends are you seeing that the Brits are, you know, going for rather than say other markets?
Well, I guess interestingly, all our other markets are doing really well as well. We actually just closed in February our biggest sales month ever. So we had a few best day ever. I mean, you might remember in November during Cyber Sale, we broke the record three or 4 days in a row, but then the whole month of February actually was pretty good overall. Australia as a market is coming back finally, because it was really lagging behind. So for a little while the UK was leading for Intrepid, which was not very common, because, you know, we are an Australian headquartered company, and originally from Australia we used to sell much more from that market. But now we kind of rebalance this, and so we pretty much even. So Australia,
no, Hazel, you're not leading anymore.
I know. I'm not happy. I'll have to keep pushing.
I'm not saying every month is different. January, we definitely were leading in the UK. January was a big month for us, so that's by far, but we know why. It was peak season for us, so let's see how the rest of the year go. But we're doing really well in the UK, really, really well globally for Intrepid, and it's great to see the results of the last 2 or 3 years, especially during the pandemic, now showing some results, and trade travel agents are just killing it with us. So we're really happy.
That's so good. And have you, I mean, let's talk about agents, but I do want to come back on and just talk about destinations in a minute. But while you've mentioned it, are you seeing business from the same agents? Are you starting to work with different types of agents? Are you working with the trade any differently? What's changed, if anything, on that front?
We have our key partners remain those key partners that we were working with pre-pandemic in the main. I think, you know, we use our agent hub, for example, which launched in December, as a way to enable smaller agents or agents that haven't worked with us for as long to be able to still, you know, have access to Intrepid product and start working with us. And that gives us a measure of, you know, who's next and who's going to be the next sort of partners that we can grow and engage with. I think for us, as I say, the key partners, we're lucky that our key partners all came out the other side of COVID in a really strong position, which is fantastic. And you know, we continue to work really closely with them. I think for us, we use things like, as I say, the Agent Hub, but also our Facebook community, Intrepid Loves Agents, where we've got sort of over 6,000 agents on there as part of the community now. And I think for us, that's another way that we engage people sort of, you know, day to day, whether it be offers or competitions or things like that, just to make sure that we've got that sort of wide range of different agents who understand who Intrepid are, and we can help with any product queries and things like that as well. So.
Yeah, and then I guess it doesn't matter whether they're, because we speak to people who are saying, oh, we're, you know, launching a new program for home workers because so many more people are now working from home. But I guess if your communication channel is through Facebook, then it doesn't really matter what channel they're in, really.
No, I mean, I think we've always had some strong relationships with partners who were predominantly home workers, so we're quite agnostic when it comes to where they're based. I think that, you know, what we want to do is make sure that agents understand who we are and that we are as able to answer queries as quickly as possible. And I think the Agent Hub for us as well has also given us that opportunity. We also expanded the team. Lucy, you'll remember, I think at the end of last year, it was, you know, we added 2 people into the team to help sort of build the relationships with our industry partners, and that's really, you know, paying dividends. I think with January and February and March now just doing really, really well out of industry, and actually probably over indexing against any other channel, to be honest. So yeah, industry is doing fabulously well, and I think that's a great testament to our partners having come out of COVID as strongly as they did.
Brilliant. Well, this is what we love to hear, by the way. People who love travel agents and travel agents doing really, really well for you guys. Zina, let's just talk a little bit about then sort of new product. We're filming this the day after International Women's Day, and I know you've increased your number of women-led tours. So that's obviously, I don't know if that's a big part of your business, but it's certainly getting a lot of attention and it's important.
Absolutely. I mean, from the day we launched in 2018, International Women's Day, in 2018, we had 3 destinations, 3 products, 3 departures. So it was an expedition style, literally 1 departure a year. We do it often to kind of raise awareness on a topic, and it was so successful that it became the year after the most successful product range for Intrepid in 30 years of existence in terms of growth. So we had to add a lot of different capacity and departures all over those different destinations, but then we added more and more destinations over the years. So the latest one are Nepal that were reinstated, and Pakistan that is a new destination, not a new destination because we also have mixed gender trips to Pakistan, but
new for all female, yeah.
For all female, and again the history and the DNA of these tours are not to create club of just only female kind of holidays, but it's really to create awareness on gender inequalities in countries and destinations where those issues are really profound and important to address. So we don't do women expeditions in places like Iceland, for example. So just to give context. So yeah, so just launched. Trip in Pakistan is run by the only female local operator of the country, which is fantastic. She's also operating the tours, the normal tours, mixed gender tours for us. So really happy to be able to support her, and really hopeful that the trips are going to do well, because the more we sell, the more we operate, the more we empower and support the local female-owned businesses, local guides, and all of the women that are involved in operating those tours.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the key thing. Clearly, it's a business enterprise, and it's interesting. You know, people might want to book on it, but it's the effect that it has in destination. I mean, I think you said we interviewed you, and it said it's going to help the way Nepal thinking towards women, absolutely, which is so important. And I think you also talked about, you know, how important it is to share stories of female empowerment, as well as obviously championing women through that supply chain. So it's important on a lot of levels, isn't it?
Yeah. It can change things in societies. And to be honest, I've seen it in Morocco with the Morocco women expeditions. When we run it, when we launched it, to be honest, we didn't even have a female guide back then. And I remember talking to the Minister of Tourism and the people in the tourism board about, well, we've got this tour running and we know it does really well for other businesses in other countries, and we know it's going to do really well, but we don't have guides to run this store. So can you help? That was actually the pitch for them to get us some more female license. And the fact is that now we're struggling to actually keep our female guides in destination, because all the competition are kind of stealing them from us. They're just the most like important people of the company at the moment. And so I think something has changed, because they're just empowered. They're just earning really well their life now, thanks to this.
And they're in demand.
They're in demand, exactly. And everyone again in the supply chain, it's not just the guide, but it's just everyone that kind of take part in the supply chain of this trip. So really, really powerful and important. And hopefully we'll have more and more every year added into the list.
Yeah. And then just on the sort of the business side of things, you're finding that they're proving popular. Are agents getting behind these and selling this kind of tour? Are they?
Absolutely, they are. I mean, most of them are. Not all of them have been. We have withdrawn Peru from the list because simply it wasn't selling. So there's no point. If it wasn't working, we didn't need to have it, and we can review and see if there is a way to do it differently. But yeah, they're absolutely selling. I mean, again, going back to the example of Morocco, it's one of the best-selling trips for the country. So it's extremely popular. When we look at our normal trip, Intrepid trip in Morocco, and we operate around for around 15,000 customers a year. So that's a big number to the country. 80% of our customers are female anyway. So, gosh. Having a female-only trip, it's most of our trips, So
yeah, you need a lot more female guides.
And that's the thing is there are destinations like Morocco, like in the Middle East, Jordan, Egypt, India, that attract a lot of female in our style of travel, because our style of travel gives confidence to women to, that things will be looked after. They won't have to worry. There are destinations that can be seen as not safe, difficult for women. And so that's why they come to us, and that's why they feel confident to travel with us. And that's why these trips are doing really well. So commercially and obviously, for the good reasons as well.
Yeah, brilliant. All right. So since that's done so well, you must have some other ideas up your sleeve. So what's going to be new coming out of the Intrepid stable in this next year or so?
Wow. What's going to be new? I mean, we are talking about innovation a lot within the company at the moment.
Well, you've just had your global summit. I've seen you all down there. So, I know James won't want you to reveal too much, but you must have talked a bit of strategy and creativity there.
Of course, absolutely. I'm sure James is fine. Whatever, anyway.
Let's not worry about him.
Well, I mean, James shared an amazing speech at the end of the conference, at the end of the summit, about how he sees Intrepid in 2030. And there were some quite innovative things revealed. And one of it was that, Intrepid will be owned by its employees. And it's already the case at some extent. We have around 5% of the company that's actually owned by employees, but we are, doing more. So this year we're going to be onboarding even more, because we're going to be paying bonuses in form of shares to all our employees around the world. And that's a pretty big step for Intrepid. And we know that our shareholders, key co-founders, but also new welcomed French shareholder, are very, very keen in having as many people within the company that owns a part of the company, because they know that drives motivation and engagement, and long-term, it's good for the long term of the business. So I mean, that's not a product innovation, but that's a pretty big innovation as a business that's been mentioned at the summit. In terms of product, we've launched a range of our range of products in Australia that was initially made for the local market during the pandemic, but that quickly expanded to become very popular for the UK market, the Europe market, and other markets. Have now in each of the itinerary, and we have more than 100 itineraries, an indigenous experience included in them. And we found that not only, again, that was the right thing to do to promote in a country like Australia indigenous experiences and culture, it was actually selling really well. And so we have heard a lot of in the UK market, a lot of interest for this type of product. And so now that Australia is also starting to come back as a destination, we are putting a lot of emphasis on these experiences and promoting them with our agent partner. And we've got some key partners that are really keen in Australia that's now coming back as well.
All right. Not resting on your laurels then. You've obviously got an awful lot going on. Okay. So, and then last time we spoke to James, I think when you mentioned your French shareholders, you've got this incredible backing, and he was talking about how acquisitive Intrepid is. And I was saying, yes, but what about in the UK or certainly in Europe? Because I know you made some initial deals over in Australia, but is that something you're still looking at? He said he was looking in this, in the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we've been very strategic, especially, I mean, during the pandemic, we've been very strategic with the acquisitions that we've made. It was always targeting a specific need that we had at that time. And, we were developing our range of local product, domestic product in the US and in Australia. So we needed to scale fast. And that's what explains some of the acquisition. But we're looking into hotels a lot. So I'm giving you a tip, a lot of interest hotels. And I'm going to give you a number that I found actually very fascinating from James. We actually we sell or occupy, I don't know how to say that, but 1 million nights a year. So we fill 1 million nights a year in hotels. And so there are some destinations where we know we fill hotels all the way through the year, more than 80% of the time. And so we're really looking into the expansion of that hotel space, whether it's for purely commercial region or I would say or for quality and for acquiring.
But I guess then if you own that asset, if you're using them so much in certain destinations, then it enables you to Intrepid guys, whatever, the whole experience. So you can
and I think sorry, I was just going to say, I mean, I think Zina spoke to the fact that James sort of gave us an idea of what was coming, and I think the idea is that how do we increase the number of sort of touch points we can have for customers under the Intrepid brand? How can we make Intrepid even more of a household name? How can we make, how can we speak to our customers more frequently throughout the year? And that might be by having a hotel that they might stay in that isn't necessarily linked to the start or end of a trip, or it might be because, we start and end everything out of a high destination, a high volume destination. Or it could be, that we simply want to find a way to bring sustainable practices into that accommodation space in our own way, and we want to do that in a sort of, in an interesting destination. So I think all of it is about continuing to grow that brand presence that we have. We've literally just yesterday actually launched our new brand campaign in London, which is called Good Trips Only. And I think for us, it's the second iteration of our brand campaign, and it's something that we did for the first time last year, just coming out of the pandemic. It went so well last year in terms of just the rising tide for all channels. We saw benefit for industry partners, we saw benefits sort of direct as well. But I think for us, getting that brand in front of as many people as we can just is really, really positive for us. And I think James sees the value in looking at how else we can do that sort of outside of advertising and marketing, and how we can develop that as a strategy.
Absolutely. But interesting you say that about your brand awareness and wanting to make Intrepid a household name. I'm not being picky here, but we had a huge bit of research done by ITV last year, which we launched at the Future of Travel conference. So thousands of their consumers in their ITV village, they call it, and they were asked what was important. And actually, was really encouraging was that people were more interested now in a sustainable way of traveling. So that was great. But then when they were asked if they could name a brand that is really hot on sustainability, they couldn't. Now, we're in the trade, and I think we would all say Intrepid is up there because we know you, obviously, but it clearly there's a disconnect, isn't there, out with consumers. And so I guess that's a bridge, a gap you need to bridge.
Absolutely. 100%. Oh, sorry, Zina. No, I was just going to say it's absolutely, the aim that we have is to take Intrepid out of that sort of more niche adventure travel space and really put it in front of more consumers with that sustainability lens, but also with the ability to have a really great holiday and experience different cultures in a really immersive way, in a really authentic way, which I think is becoming more and more important. And great to see that sustainability is also being mentioned as something that interests customers. But yeah, we've got a jobs to do. We've got we're doing these campaigns to increase our brand awareness out of this market. And I think, industry partners and what we do direct really just allows us to sort of amplify that as well. Our industry partners do a huge part in that brand building for us as well, which is great.
Zina, did you want to add to that?
I wanted to add, it's worth mentioning, and you would know this very well because ATAS and this industry, or this part of the industry that we are. And we see ourselves within the trade, and we think we're big and all of that, but we're still, as a touring company, we're still representing, a faster growing, but relatively unknown part of the industry. And so it is still, I'm still hearing journalists on big radio channels in the UK saying, "Oh, touring, what do you mean? Group adventure, what do you mean?" And so I think creating awareness on our style of travel is really, really important. And then we get into sustainability, because I believe our style of travel is the most sustainable way of doing it, whether it's us or with any of our competitors. It is the best way to visit a destination without harming it. And I think it should start in creating awareness on what we do. And that's why we're doing a lot of brand awareness around small group adventure, traveling with a group of people, and all of these things that are still quite unknown, even in the UK.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, even if I did a chat with my friends, they wouldn't really probably understand small group touring, or they would have a perception of it which might not be right, or certainly not the breadth of what is on offer within that category. So I think you're right. But you mentioned ATAS there, Zina. You're a board member. So that's, sorry, I don't want to take this away from Intrepid, but it is important because you've been a founder member of ATAS. You've really driven forward that association and its goals. So what do you think that we are getting somewhere? Do you think that, it is starting to, trickle down to people that this is a great, fast growing, but a really great sector?
Absolutely. I think the last board meeting we had in January really made me feel extremely positive about the future for ATAS and for our sector. It's still not in front of consumer yet, or in front of the trade as much as we want, but the plans that we have, I think, are really, really good. And one of the biggest steps is the data project that we have been working on for many, many months and years now, which is key though, because it will give so much visibility on the size of our sector and the potential of our sector. So that to me is key, and is happening, is finally happening. So I think that will be really important and really big. There's also a lot of opportunities that we're talking about within the board, around where to do the conferences moving forward. How can we leverage the fact that we operate in some of the most amazing destinations in the world, and couldn't we showcase that? I mean, the cruise industry does amazing work with their conferences when they just go on their assets and just promote the cruise, the ship itself. We can promote a real place, a destination that we can go to. And we're talking about these kind of things, which I think are very promising. And there's a lot coming. I don't want to reveal too much, but it's quite promising.
No, I absolutely. And I think even just seeing the sign-ups to the conference this year, I mean, it's so there's definitely an appetite. And I think, Zina, if you suddenly say that next year's conference is going to be in some amazing destination that Intrepid goes to, then I suspect they'll be even better. But yeah, no, it's great, and thank you for all that you do for ATAS. All right, I'm conscious of time, and I don't want to end on a sad note. We'll move on from this, but I thought you probably would just want to talk about Turkey, because obviously it's very personal for you, because you lost a tour leader, which our hearts go out, and we're so sorry to have heard that. We've been doing lots of stories about its recovery and how important tourism is to help that country get back on its feet. So just, and I know you've had a fantastic appeal, you've been raising funds as well, but can you just give us your take on what's happened in Turkey, Zina?
Absolutely. I mean, yes, it's been extremely devastating for us. There's so many reasons for that. We've got our own people in the destination, 25 staff. Obviously, one of them, one of our tour leaders, sadly passed away during the earthquake, which made it even more, personal and linked in a way. The destination, you might not know that, but it's been the second destination that Intrepid launched 33 years ago after Thailand. The business plan of Intrepid has been built in Turkey. So Darren and Manch, our co-founders, really have a very personal story with Turkey. And it's been doing fabulously well over the last years. And this year actually was meant to be one of the strongest years for Turkey for us. And it's still actually going to be like this. And we're really hopeful. So obviously, the first thing we've done as the earthquake happened, as you mentioned, is we've launched an appeal. We've done that in the past. It's not the first time. We've done it for the bushfire in Australia, or for the earthquake in Nepal. But we really wanted to show as much support as we can and raise awareness with our audience, our people, our community. And we've raised $150,000 so far. We're matching up to 200,000, so we still can match more. So it's from Intrepid own profit. So really want to encourage people to share this fundraiser and help as much as possible. What we've seen concretely, there's no cancellation outside of one single trip that used to go to that area that we deviated. This area that has been affected is very far away. Turkey is a very, very large country.
Huge, yeah.
You know, the area that's been affected is the size of Portugal. And so it's miles away from Istanbul, and none of our trips are impacted. We have trips running at the moment as we speak, and we haven't seen any cancellation to existing trips.
Okay.
So what we really
and that's important, isn't it? Because
really
I think some people are like, oh, I'd feel guilty going to Turkey when that's it, but that's not what you want. No. You want people to continue supporting and going to the destination.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why we're also donating all our profits from all the booking that are made until the end of April to the fundraiser as well. And so this is just to really encourage people to go. We want people to go to travel to Turkey, to encourage the local people, and because the economy depends on travel to come back. And I mean, travel has come back, but travel to continue to happen. So that's how it stands on the situation.
No, thank you for saying that. I think it's really important. We've been trying to do as many supportive stories as possible, but everyone who just reminds people that it's a very large country and you can still travel, and it's great that no one's cancelled, because I think it's important clearly for the nation and the local economy. So, all right, let's finish on a happier note, and that is National Travel Agents Day, which of course you drive in the UK. Is that going to happen again this year?
It is. It's going to happen on the 21st of July, which is very exciting. We have some very big plans with ourselves and also other companies around the UK. To be honest, I can't go into too many details. I've been sworn to secrecy by Jo. She won't let me introduce them yet. But it's going to be bigger and better than ever before. As I say, we're sort of working with a number of different partners to make it really sort of across the industry and across different partners. And yeah, as I say, watch this space. There's some good news coming soon.
Okay, we won't push you on that. We'll just get you back on another time. We normally do one, don't we, Zina? We normally do a specific National Travel Agents Day chat. So we will schedule that in. Yeah, definitely. Well, listen, ladies, I'm so grateful for your time. It sounds like things are going really well, and you're seeing some great bookings and resurgent in so many destinations, and fantastic to hear that agents are such a big part of that. So we wish you continued success, and we just thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having us.